These are the 3 best nootropics for ADHD. Now, to preface this video, this is not medical diagnosis and this is not a treatment for ADHD, but these are simple over-the-counter options that can potentially help you deal with the symptoms of ADHD. Now, my wife has severe ADHD. Sometimes she just needs something over-the-counter to help her throughout the day to focus on a task at hand. And sometimes it's not just having this option versus the prescription option, especially if there are any issues going through the medical system. These are 3 that she has tried and has said that helps her. So I'm going to share these 3 with you as well. I'll break down the ingredients, the dosages, and also the price to see if it's worth you buying to help with ADHD. Now, as always, the links will be down in the description and the comment if you wish to purchase any of these. So let's start with the first nootropic, that is U-Cube. Now, you've probably seen this particular nootropic advertised everywhere. It's a relatively big company. It's probably this company's best-selling supplement, and that's from Wolfson Brands, and it has a really solid formula. The one thing I really like about it is that it's non-stimulant. It's not to say you can't use a stimulant-based nootropic, but if you're already feeling overwhelmed and unable to concentrate, potentially stimulants could exacerbate that further. I'm not saying it will, but potentially. So let's run through the ingredients list on here and see why it can be a great nootropic for ADHD. Let's start with choline. You have 100 milligrams in there. It's a precursor to a neurotransmitter. It can help with working memory. However, just bear in mind that human studies have kind of mixed results on this. If you're in the US, you will get the 100 milligrams. If you're in the UK, you actually get 250 milligrams, which is a slightly better dose. That's likely just because of shipping regulations and country regulations around supplements. We then have Bacopa Monnieri, which is one of my favorite nootropic ingredients that honestly most supplements have. You have 250 milligrams, which has been shown to improve memory acquisition, delayed memory recall, speed of attention, cognitive performance, and even memory retention in older adults. So that is a really great nootropic ingredient for people with ADHD. We then have l-tyrosine. Now, l-tyrosine is typically used to improve cognitive function under stress. However, you typically need really high doses, something like 2 grams plus. No nootropic has that, so even though I have 250 milligrams in it, you might have some of that effect or you might have some synergistic effects, but no nootropic is dosed higher. We have cat score, which is more of a traditional ancient extract that is used to potentially improve cognitive function. With L-theanine, which should be in every nootropic in my opinion, as it helps relieve stress and anxiety. 100 milligrams is more than enough to do that. I found doses anywhere from 50 up to 400 milligrams helps reduce stress and anxiety. We have ginseng. This is actually a relatively well-researched ingredient. It has 160 milligrams. It helps with memory and mental arithmetic tasks, and is one of the few nootropic ingredients that has been shown to work in young, healthy adults, whereas most nootropic ingredients are mainly studied in older adults or adults with cognitive decline. So that's a very positive ingredient. And then we have Lumax 2020, which is a vision supplement. So overall, you have a pretty good stack, all geared towards improving cognitive function, memory, and attention, and to help those of you with ADHD. Now, in terms of the price, it's actually one of the better priced nootropics. You're looking at anywhere from $1.30 to $2.17 per serving, depending on how much you're purchasing at once, which places it on the lower to middle end of the nootropic price scale per serving. Typically, you're looking at $1.50 to $2.50. This is slightly under that. So you get great value from this particular nootropic. Now, it is number 3. So we have 2 more that I believe are even better. So for number 2, we have Hunter Focus by Hunter Evolve. This is probably one of the largest ingredients lists in the nootropic world. It is known as the premium nootropic because of that. Now, there is caffeine in this. I did want to include a stimulant-based nootropic in this roundup, just for anyone who maybe wants that. Now, it is paired with L-theanine, which means it will take the edge off caffeine. So if you do get caffeine jitters or anxiety or overwhelm, L-theanine will smooth that energy out. And research has shown that it helps to further improve cognitive function and your focus and attention versus just caffeine alone. And that is why I mainly included this one. Now, outside of that, you have a host of ingredients to potentially help with ADHD. Organic lime beans, mushroom in there, 500 milligrams, which is one of the highest doses, known as the nootropic of the mushroom world. It may help reduce stress and improve cognitive performance, particularly in young adults. Again, another ingredient that may work in healthy young adults, which is far better than ones that just work in older adults. Again, Bacopa Monnieri, but in a higher dose of 300 milligrams. Ashwagandha, which is known as a stress-relieving root. We have choline, ceticholine, again at 250 milligrams for memory. Ginkgo biloba, which has anti-inflammatory properties to help improve blood circulation, also cognitive function. We also have maritime pine bark extract of 75 milligrams, which is also an antioxidant and cognitive enhancer that shows positive results potentially in the elderly, students, and professionals with improving mind and memory. And then we have the Spanish ginseng and Spanish sage to round it out. So overall, a really decent formula. Again, it is stimulant based. It has 100 milligrams of caffeine, which is slightly more than a cup of coffee. So you're not going to have this in the afternoon. This will be only for the morning, which is one of the reasons it's not number 1. And again, if you are very sensitive to stimulants, I would not go for this either. But if you really want something stimulant based, let's look at the price. We're looking at anywhere from $2.25 to $3 per serving, which places this in the higher end of nootropic pricing, considering considering most nootropics are around $1.50 to $2.50 per serving. So this is the premium option. It has a lot more ingredients than NuCube, but it does have the stimulants in it. Which brings me to the #1 nootropic for ADHD, and that is MindLab Pro. It's easily one of my favorite nootropic supplements, and before I even get to the ingredients list, it is one of the only nootropic supplements that has clinical research backing its formula. In fact, it is the only nootropic supplement that has 3 clinical studies backing its formula, and not done by the company itself. It is done by Leeds University, it's done by a third party, versus other nootropic supplements that do have clinical research, have done them in-house with their own company, or they've used people that have received compensation from that company. So this truly is a third-party clinically researched supplement. And these 3 studies have been double-blind and placebo-controlled, and have found MindLab Pro to be beneficial in improving processing information and memory, 2 things that are typically lost with ADHD. So let's run through the formula of what's in here. We have ceticoline, 250 milligrams. So we have our memory enhancing ingredient. We have bacopa mineri, again, one of my favorites for memory retention, processing speed, speed of attention. Organic lion's mushroom, again, just like Hunter Focus at 500 milligrams, which is one of those nootropics that potentially works in healthy adults. We have phosphosterine, which I can never say, at 100 milligrams, again, shown to potentially increase cognitive function. L-theanine at 100 milligrams, which is what we really like for stress and anxiety. Rhodiola rosea at 50 milligrams, which helps deal with stress, anxiety, and depression. And then we have maritime pine bark at 75 milligrams, which is the potent antioxidant to help with memory and blood flow. So you have a really solid formula here, one that has been clinically researched and shown to actually work when compared to a placebo. And when we talk about price, it gets even better, because it's $1.73 to $2.30 per serving, which puts you right in that typical range for a nootropic supplement. You're getting a great deal on a clinically backed nootropic, one that is designed to help improve cognitive function and help with symptoms of ADHD. Now, if you want a full breakdown of MindLab Pro, I highly suggest you watch this video next, because it goes through our full MindLab Pro review. Other than that, everything will be down in the description.